So let's look at an example of, let's say your startup has a customer attrition problem. If you were using the typical heuristics and traditional approaches, how would you solve it? You would understand what are the unhappy customers talking about. You will look at the past customers who've churned, maybe do some surveys and find out what else needs to be modified. And then you will go to some heuristics to find out, okay, if customers are leaving, how do I find out? Maybe if the usage drops the last 2 weeks, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, then maybe that's an indicator. And then you'll have to roll out some promotions or recommendations. Again, you apply some heuristics to find out, you bucket customers into different clusters, and this cluster, most likely they'll be interested in this kind of a product or an offering. So that's a typical approach to manage churn, a heuristics based approach. Whereas with decision intelligence, you do not get into the rabbit hole of looking at only unhappy customers or only churned customers. You take a step back and look at what problem are you solving for the customers, and what are the customers' needs and what are the gaps therein. Talk to both, and that's where social science comes in. Understanding the user persona and behavior, and what are their preferences and inhibitions. So that's social science. And then you start collecting the data from all kinds of customers, happy and unhappy customers. And you look at all kinds of sources, not just survey, direct, but also indirect modes of inputs. So that's data science, collecting data and applying machine learning to find out what really drives attrition. So more than heuristics, look at scientific based approaches. And then you apply recommendation algorithms to find out what really this individual customer will like, as opposed to going to clusters of thousands of customers. So that's data science. And finally, managerial science helps you institutionalize this. How do you make sure that your marketing team adopts this and rolls out these promotions? And how do they internalize it as part of their workflows, the marketing workflows? That's where managerial science comes in. And finally, you observe this over time to see how customers are responding to your promotions. Are there some customers who are gaming it, which happens all the time? And those customers who are used to it, 3 months down the line, how would you shape it further? So that's where you use these 3 disciplines again and again by bringing them together as decision intelligence to solve this problem. And this is far, far superior compared to a heuristics-based approach. We did a similar thing for a telecom customer. We found that there was a 67% improvement in retention compared to the heuristics-based approach, which this large telecom company was following earlier.